And now, Baseball-Akkuh with Jess Knaster.
All right, so we are still on the Let's Get to Holiday special. So when we mean holiday, we don't mean Christmas. And I am a big fan of my new Hanukkah sweater. I know that Jess is a practice, do you say practice? I guess observer of Hanukkah. And so I was excited to kind of get in the spirit, man. What do you think?
It's a good look. I don't think I could quite pull off the cardigan. I went just for the classic ugly sweater.
I love it. I can't wait. I'm actually wearing this. We usually do night one of Hanukkah with our friends, and I'm going to just roll up, and I'm sure I'll get mercilessly mocked by David, but he can deal with it.
I mean, just tell him he's allowed to make fun of you as long as, and I apologize for the sort of Jewish insider joke here, as long as he beats you at dreidel, then he can talk all the trash he wants. But if you beat him, then he's got to keep quiet.
I can beat him. It's his daughter I can't beat. She's really good.
Well, you know that random spinning top. That's
Baby JoJo's not someone to be messed with on the dreidel. So you had an idea of how you wanted to observe this, and I thought it was great. You came up with your lineup, your roster of the best Jewish ball players in MLB history.
Yeah, it's I think it all identifying by religion doesn't necessarily matter a whole lot. I think baseball is unique because of its international flair in terms of players who made this game great in the middle part of the 20th century, before and after World War II especially, and how many European, either first-generation Americans or guys who were born in Europe came over to play baseball. And that's kind of unique among the five major sports in the United States, at least the five major leagues in the United States, because basketball has only recently gotten as big as it has. Hockey hasn't been as widespread. American football, obviously, we're going to play it more than anybody else. Baseball has some international taste to it. And then Soccer has always been big, but in certain parts of the world more so than others. And so baseball is kind of unique in the Jewish aspect of it, because there are so many guys who especially immigrated with their families to New York or to Chicago or to Wisconsin. And that's where baseball was king in the 40s and 50s, and where it still is in a lot of parts of the United States. And so that was the game that the kids played, didn't matter the religion. And then, of course, the airplane aspect of it, where, give me some light reading. Here's a pamphlet on Jews and sports. And so Jews, we laugh at it, but at the same, Jews wrote that joke, but Jews, we laugh at it. And so,
so any episode with a good airplane reference is already so high on my list. This is already my favorite thing. But you know what else too lends itself? Baseball, though. Baseball, I think, is the one sport where there's really a spot for every kind of athlete.
There is. Football, you have that a little bit, because the big, strong guys go in the front on either side. The more agile guys are in the backfield. And then your smartest guy is the guy who throws the thing. Soccer, you're all going to be athletic.
Yep. Basketball, you got to be tall.
Basketball, you got to be tall, and if you're short, tall, you handle the ball. If you're tall, you block the ball. Obviously, dumbing it down ever so slightly.
It's a baseball show. What do people expect?
And hockey, around the same as soccer. Everybody's going to be athletic, and the bigger guys are going to be defensive. The smaller guys are going to be offensive, and the guys who can bend themselves into pretzels are going to be the goaltenders. But yeah, baseball, you need some of everything. You need the agile guys to be up the middle. You need the big boppers in the corner spots, outfield and infield.
Yeah.
And then you need a guy of any shape or size, as long as he's got a rubber arm, put him on the mound.
So let's talk about what is our all Hebrew or all Jewish baseball team look like. And I'm hoping that there's a certain guy from Arizona that made your squad.
Arizona. We'll have to find out. So we'll start with batting order, even though that's probably the weakest spot. And as much as I love baseball and have grown up with the game, figuring out this batting order, boy, has it dawned upon me that I am not a future manager.
Okay.
But it also helps that these guys are the best at their positions. So obviously we just mentioned it, making the best lineup. That's not necessarily finding the best guy at each position. It's finding the guy who works best in a certain role in the lineup, because sometimes you'll sacrifice defense for a guy who's fast, or vice versa. If you have an order that has a lot of hitters, this is an order that has a lot of hitters. Every one of these guys in their day, current or past, was really able to whack the snot out of the thing. So starting with
coming to you, a new segment on Let's Get to whacking the snot out of the thing. It's a family show, Jess. Okay, let's go. Leading off, a shortstop. Old Shufflefoot was his nickname. Played from 1938 to 1952. Lou Boudreau, one of 3 Hall of Famers in this lineup. Batting second and playing second base, Ian Kinsler, a more recent player. Okay.
Batting third, playing right field, Ryan Braun.
Okay.
One of just 2 current players on this roster. And Braun and the other guy who I'll mention a little bit later, guys who still have some career ahead of them. And then the middle portion of the lineup, these are all guys from that World War II era that I mentioned, that really was the heyday for Jewish baseball players, including Boudreau. Batting fourth and playing left field, Hank Greenberg.
Yes.
Hank Greenberg, probably the best known hitter of the bunch. He won 2 MVPs, was a 5-time All-Star, came within a fraction of a batting percentage point of winning the Triple Crown in the 1930s, was a huge home run hitter, and was the first guy to sit out a game to Yom Kippur, which is often accredited to Sandy Koufax, who did. Granted, Sandy Koufax did it in Game 1 of the '65 World Series, but Greenberg did it a couple times down the stretch. He was supposed to play in a game. He was supposed to play in a game in the World Series in Game 6 of the 1935 World Series, but didn't because he had he didn't play because he had a broken wrist, but he suited up.
Okay.
So Greenberg fourth, batting fifth, Al Rosen, another hard-hitting corner infielder. Greenberg also played first base. So Rosen at third base, batting fifth, hitting sixth. Harry Danning, Harry the Horse, was a catcher for the for the Giants in the 1930s and 40s. Batting seventh, playing center field. Yes, out of position, but had to find a spot for him. Sean Green.
Okay.
Playing center. Green, I think, gets overlooked at how good of a player he was, just because it's a recency bias sort of thing.
Yeah, that happens.
And then a batting eighth guy that a lot of people wouldn't recognize to be on this list because he had a completely misnomer of a nickname, the Greek god of walks. Not Greek at all, very Jewish.
Very Jewish.
Kevin Youkilis.
Okay.
Youkilis. Oh, I guess I made a typo. I don't have him at catcher. He's my first baseman.
Okay.
Youkilis at first, and batting ninth, and the most famous Jewish person to be in my car, Alex Bregman, as the DH.
I brought props. There he is, baby. The most famous person to be in Jess's car. Okay, so let's go about. Okay, so that's our lineup. Who's
and of course, there's only one choice: the left arm of God, Sandy Koufax.
Left arm of God. I love this segment, and I remember you jokingly said, but I can't come up with a bench, which is fine. But how much does it matter to you to see your faith in your culture reflected in baseball? We talk about this all the time in cinema with like women and people of color. Like, how much does it matter to you?
Well, I think it is just like that, and we're seeing it. We saw it in. I hate to relate back to politics, but we saw it in 2016 with Hillary Clinton being the first woman to accept a major presidential nomination from one of the 2 major parties. Kamala Harris this year. That it's just the idea, and then with countless people of various ethnicities who have held political office or done anything else, it's seeing somebody who looks like you, or who sounds like you, or who does something like you. And obviously when you're not the majority in that given demographic, that's something that matters, because if all you're looking for is somebody who's really good at baseball and is male, okay, easy. Somebody who's good at baseball and is the same skin color as me, okay, easy. Somebody who's and on down the list. But the going back to the Jews in sports pamphlet, if you don't have a ton to look at, you really grasp onto whatever you can and celebrate it, because it's an opportunity to say either one, yeah, he's one of ours, or she's one of ours, we're proud of it, or they can do that, maybe I can too. And I think that means a little bit more when it's kids or adults who see that person as an inspiration, because then they might be the next generation's inspiration, and so on and so on.
One of the things I was so excited, like, again, when we came up to doing this, I was just stoked for it. And on my other show, Screen Jocks, we were talking about the show Psych. And in the show Psych, James Roday had famously changed his last name from Rodriguez to Roday because he couldn't get a job because he didn't look Mexican enough, and this whole thing. We've seen in the last 4 years with Trump, the rise of anti-Semitism has been given a voice again. How important, like guys like Bregman that are still playing, how important are they to kind of, through example, maybe stem some of that tide, or do they have a role in that at all?
I mean, I think in some ways, when researching this, especially the likes of Danning and Greenberg and Rosen, who all played right around World War II, and especially Hank Greenberg, who served in World War II and missed 3 years in the peak of his career when he was just mashing the ball left and right, these are just regular guys. They have this difference, but is it really a difference? And reflecting that on today, I don't know that that's paid as much attention to in the general world of, I thought this fill in the blank. I thought Jews were not good at sports, but here's a guy who was the All-Star Game MVP in 2018. He finished second in AL MVP voting in 2019 and is still set to have a really good career in baseball. He's Jewish. I guess I'll think twice. I think that kind of gets ignored in the general public's eye, especially among those who are going to have preconceived notions of certain ethnicities or certain whatever demographics. But I do think more so than ever, it strengthens the pride, the amount of pride that person's community will have in whatever demographic they are. Jews, obviously part of that.
Well, Jess, this has been one of my favorite segments we've done on the show, period. Was tickled that we had the idea. Thank you so much for delivering. This was great. And have a happy Hanukkah. First night of Hanukkah is tonight, so have a happy Hanukkah.
Thank you. Happy Hanukkah. Fill up on the latkes. And when you look down this list, 3 Hall of Famers, multiple MVPs, multiple Cy Youngs. There may not be a lot of us, but spread over time, we can put together a pretty good 9 or 10, I guess.